Chapter 6, Mishnah 4. Having taught the law of a piece of a corpse that is in an outside wall of a house, the Mishnah now discusses the law of a corpse piece located in a wall between two houses. If a wall between two connected houses contains tumah, and the tumah is closer to one of the houses, the house closer to the tumah becomes tame, and the house closer to the house closer to the tahor, that is, the house farther from the tumah, remains tahor. This is because we consider the corpse piece to be in the house closest to it, but not in the house farther from it. If the tumah is in the middle of the wall, equally distant from the two houses on each side of the wall, both houses become tame. Since the corpse piece is the same distance to both houses, it is considered to be in both of them. Therefore, the contents of both houses become tame. The Mishnah now discusses the status of utensils in a wall between two houses. If there is tumah inside one of the houses, and there are utensils inside the wall, the law is as follows. If the utensils are in the half of the wall closer to the tumah, i.e., in the half closer to the house containing the corpse, they become tame, because they are considered to be in the house that has the corpse. If the utensils are in the half of the wall closer to the tahor house, the house that does not have a corpse, they remain tahor, because they are considered to be in that house. If the utensils are in the middle of the wall, they become tame, because they are considered to be in both houses, and one of the houses has a corpse in it. The Mishnah discusses the law where a piece of corpse is located in the ceiling between two stories of a building. If there is tumah in the ceiling between the ground floor and the upper story of a two-story house, the law is as follows. If the tumah is in the lower half of the ceiling, the ground floor becomes tame, but the upper story remains tahor. Since the corpse piece is closer to the ground floor, it is considered to be in the ground floor, but not in the upper story. Therefore, the ground floor becomes tame, and the upper story remains tahor. If the tumah is in the upper half of the ceiling, the upper story becomes tame, but the lower story remains tahor. Since, in this case, the corpse piece is closer to the upper story, it is considered to be in the upper story, but not in the ground floor. Therefore, the upper story becomes tame, while the ground floor remains tahor. If the tumah is in the middle of the ceiling, equally distant from the ground floor and the upper story, both stories become tame. Since the corpse piece is the same distance from both stories, it is considered in both stories. Therefore, both stories become tame. The Mishnah now discusses the law of utensils found in a ceiling between two stories. If the tumah is in one of the stories and there are utensils in the ceiling, the law is that if the utensils are in the half of the ceiling closer to the tumah, that is, they are in the half of the ceiling closer to the story that has the corpse, they become tame, because they are considered to be in the story that has the corpse. If the utensils are in the half of the ceiling closer to the tahor story, the story that does not have the corpse, they remain tahor, because they are considered to be in that story. If the utensils are in the middle of the ceiling, equally distant from the stories above and below it, they become tame, because they are considered to be in both stories, and one of the stories has a corpse. The next Tana disagrees with both of the above rulings concerning a ceiling between two stories. Rabbi Yehuda says the entire ceiling is considered part of the upper story. Therefore, even if the corpse piece is in the lower half of the ceiling, it is considered in the upper story. Hence, the upper story is tame and the ground floor is tahor. The same thing applies to utensils in the ceiling. Even if they are in the lower half of the ceiling, they are considered in the upper story. Thus, if the corpse is in the upper story, they become tame, and if the corpse is in the ground floor, they remain tahor.